FearScape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
Hello, dear friends. I'm your headmister, Lord Stephen Gearhart.
And I am your co-mister, the man with no name, Lance Wayne.
And together we are the Misters of the... let's try it again. The Misters of the Lance!
The Misters of the Dark!
Oh, shut up! Whatever. Join us wherever you stream your favorite podcasts or go to mistersofthedark.com, where we'll be discussing all things horror, from films and books to everything in betweensies. We also have the occasional victim. I mean, guest.
Only on the FearScape Media Network.
Shut up, Lance! I always get the last laugh.
Thank you for tuning in to FearScape Paranormal Podcast. We are on a journey to understand and to discover the phenomena that seems to exist all around the globe. We invite you to join us on this journey into the unknown.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of FearScape Paranormal here on the FearScape Media Network. I am your host, Stephen Gearhart, and I am joined, as always, by the man who cheers me up just by smelling him, Josh Rutledge.
Well, you know, it's got to be that Manscaped soap that does it. That's what it is.
Oh, shameless plug of our sponsor there. All right, yeah. Manscaped, that's right. We have a really cool show tonight. We are going to be talking about a person that we've been wanting to talk about for quite some time, Mr. Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe is basically the founder of the Monroe Institute. Yeah, he's known for his research into altered consciousness, and this is the guy that popularized the term out-of-body experience and even developed Hemi-Sync, which is an audio technology to help facilitate meditation and different things like that. So I'm really excited to talk about Robert Monroe, who was also a friend of Alan Hynek's, I learned recently.
Oh. Well, there you go, show. There you go. That's the show. So thanks, Stefan.
Good night, everybody. Good night. No, but we're going to be talking about Robert Monroe tonight. Very, very excited to be talking about one of the pioneers of the paranormal. I mean, this guy is definitely one of the dudes everybody talks about, even to this
certainly blazed the trail for sure.
Yes, I would call him a trailblazer.
Blazer of trails is not good enough for you?
Nope. That sounds too Ren Fair. It's like, I am Robert Monroe, blazer of trails. Be careful, my trail is on fire. But anywho, just wanted to remind everybody, this week we have premiered Tech Talk. So I'm super excited about that. Tech Talk through the Debrief. You can go to debrief.org or go to the Debrief's YouTube channel and check out our first episode of Tech Talk, where we have reviewed the PreSonus Studio 68C, talking about all things tech. What a fun experience, Josh.
It was a blast, and I am happy to be able to work in our quirky, nerdy side, and let that kind of side breathe and fly free.
That's right. Well, get out there and check out that show for us. Let the Debrief know that our fans love science and technology as much as they love science fiction, right? Science, we love sci-fi, but also paranormal, para-science. Was that it? Or, can I say parascience?
Parafy?
I never thought parapsychology was the correct term for everything. I think just a parascience would work.
What if it's more than two?
That's a pair of So that's a
I know.
science.
If it's more than 2, though, it's not para. It's something else.
Well, that's true. Well, unless there's
try science.
Yeah, I don't know. What is more? A bunch of science.
Some.
Yeah, because when it's bananas, it's a bunch. So,
yeah.
Anyways, boy, we're talking out of our keisters here tonight. Make sure to go to FearScapePodcast.com as well as FearScapeMedia.com. Check out all of our offerings there, as well as FearScapePodcast.com/support, where you can join our Patreon, BuyMeACoffee.com/FearScape, where you can hook us up with a one-time gift to help us out there, as well as FearScapePodcast.com/store. If you want a t-shirt, sticker, or any of the cool stuff that we've got out, we have a ton of new t-shirts on there.
Oh, yeah.
That are funsies, big funsies.
And adding more all the time. So.
All the time. Not just FearScape Media Network branded stuff, just fun, goofy, paranormal fun stuff.
You say, I wish I had a shirt that had Bigfoot carrying a giant taco. We've got a shirt like that. So, head on over there.
Head on over there. Anyways, Josh, let's get rocking and rolling, man. We got a great show. My body is just leaving itself right now, so we can move to our first segment.
We're going to do the rest of the show from the astral plane. So
yes, we are. Speaking of which, let's move on to Psychic Word of the Week.
And now, the Psychic Word of the Week.
Psychic Word of the Week comes from the Encyclopedic Psychic Dictionary by June G. Bletzer, Ph.D. Rest in peace, Honey Bear. Robert Monroe is all through this dictionary. I'm sure you just look it up and he's all through it. But anyways, he's not what we're talking about tonight in Psychic Word of the Week, because we do this by flipping the pages and stopping and seeing what grabs our attention. And tonight I landed on page 313, and the phrase that grabbed me was initiatory death. Initiatory death comes from primitive Native American culture. It says a mystical ordeal whereby one goes through the death process by torture, such as having the flesh scraped off of the bone. Then by the power of thought and with the efforts of one's etheric world helpers, one has a change of beliefs, is healed, resurrected, and consecrated with new knowledge. One then earns the right to heal the sick, perform psychic skills, and assist others through the death process. Boy, that sounds like Christianity.
I mean, isn't that what Lazarus, isn't that? So.
Well, not even, no, this suits Jesus a lot more, because the torture process, Lazarus just up and died. But Jesus, essentially had his meat scraped off, he, all that stuff. But this term comes from Native American culture white man bringing Christianity over to here. So I always find that very, very interesting when similar spiritual thought processes are in cultures that never met. And those are the things that make you go, is it real? Like dragons, for example, being something that's in a lot of different cultures around the world and had been. Gods are another, things like that. So I find that very, very interesting. But so that's a huge process there that one has to go through to be able to heal the sick and perform miracles, where Jesus was able to do that ahead of time.
Well, I guess we've talked about it a little bit on Astrals too, about the idea that was Jesus just practicing Reiki?
Right. Some serious, if it is like the Christian Bible says, some hardcore Reiki, where like in movies where somebody's got a healing power, you can see like just the skin go back together.
like Ray and Kylo.
Ray and Kylo, I want to ship them forever. All right. Well, thank you, June G. Bletzer, as always, for providing us with new terms that I would have never thought of before in my life. So initiatory death is now entered my lexicon, and I'll be busting that out at Halloween because it's kind of weird and creepy.
All right.
All right. Well, our friend, the Jersey Devil, has returned from the South Pole, and he is very excited for us to move on to Cryptid. of the Week.
Hey y'all, it's the Jersey Devil. Hope y'all are ready to meet some of my friends.
Cryptid of the Week.
All right, Josh, we are doing Cryptid of the Week. We are talking about one of JD's friends.
That's right. We are talking about a really good friend of mine, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in and listened to me on Cryptid Miss, and all the well-wishers that I got all over the world from people congratulating me on being the new Dark Lord Krampus. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and Josh, I love you, and I love your eyeballs a lot.
Well, thank you. You can have them when I die.
Oh, I would appreciate that. In fact, I didn't want to ask because I thought it would be forthcoming. You are a trailblazer, sir. A blazer of trails, so to speak. But Stefan, I will hand this back to you, but I wanted to say thank you to all of you blanket huggers out there, and I will see you all, of course, whenever, but of course on Cryptid Miss of this year. But until then, let me introduce you to the Bat Squad.
That's right. Thank you, JD. Your bed is back. It is ready and warmed up and ready for you, sir. He's really excited, like I said, about being godfather. So he's been painting pictures for my new child that will be here of cryptids, but like chibi versions, like all soft and cuddly and stuff. Yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, like he said, this week's Cryptid of the Week is Bat Squatch. Sounds like an amazing Batman villain. I think you had mentioned that when we were talking earlier. It even kind of looks kind of like Man-Bat. But Bat Squatch just sounds like a really cool villain or even a cool hero. But Bat Squatch is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. It resembles a flying primate similar to the ahul and the orangutan of Southeast Asia, and its name is derived from the words bat and Sasquatch. And so there are different images that we've seen. Some look mostly just like a giant man bat. Some look like a Sasquatch with wings. Some look like a wolf with wings. I guess it all depends. But a witness allegedly took several pictures of the creature. However, these pictures have not yet been analyzed, thus cannot prove the creature's existence, which is crazy because it took place in the 1980s.
Yeah, it's crazy. We were just out there. We were having us a photo shoot. We were trying to do modeling for Cryptid Monthly. And this guy just pulled up and he tried to act like he was like the photographer. And he was just taking like Batty was just like, hey, man, I want to look good for the thing. And then when the guy left, the actual photographer showed up.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, make sure you check people's like IDs and stuff. Especially in the 1980s.
Maybe it was a Men in Black situation.
Maybe.
Yeah. So thank you, JD. And yeah, make sure to check people's identifications in the 1980s, guys. Anyways, so to continue on, here's the description, Josh. It says, this creature was said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. In addition, Bat Squatch is said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. Boy, this is starting to sound like some of those Chicago Mothman sightings.
Yeah, really. Yeah, or the just the ability to affect car engines is very indicative of, early UFO, 50, 60 kind of UFO reports. So
yeah. So there's a few sightings here. On April 1994, Brian Canfield was driving in Washington's Pierce County when his truck suddenly died. Canfield said that a large creature landed in front of him. He said it was a human-like 9 feet tall with bat-like wings and also sported a coat of blue fur. Ever since then, it has not been seen, and skeptics, of course, dismiss it as a hoax. A second sighting was reported in 2009 near Mount Shasta, California. Ooh. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings. That was just Olaf Phillips in cosplay. But they say this spanned 50 feet long, fly out of a crevice in the mountain. And at first, an eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed it was more akin to a flying fox bat. The final sighting here is on June 11th. Phoenix Therese was in his yard walking his dog. He went to pick up the dog when he saw something in the sky. He said the following.
I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, and had a face similar to eyes glowing red. It was about 9 feet tall at the least, and after I watched it, it just flew away. On April 14, 2014, at Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron, Ohio, a second period Spanish class spotted a giant back mass zip by the window of the classroom at incredible speeds, and this class claims it was about 9 feet tall with a 20 to 30 foot wingspan.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, very
Bat
interesting.
watch.
Very, I mean, the kind of description there does sound similar to, Mothman type stuff too.
Yeah, Mothman, the Ahul. Who knows? They could all be related.
Yeah, or they're all the same thing, just given different colloquial names. So
Yep. Which again, I love the name Bat Squatch. So,
Yep.
Anyways, thank you, Jersey Devil, for sharing one of your friends with us. All right, Josh, let's go ahead and get moving to our UFO UAP sighting of the week. All right, our UFO UAP sighting of the week. Josh, what do we got? Where's it from and what happened?
Yeah, so this is a couple years old. It happened in September time, 2014 in Brownsville, Texas.
So just like 2 months after this last Bat Squatch sighting.
Yeah, really. It goes like this.
At around 3 to 4 p.m. on a sunny afternoon, my husband and I were alone in our neighborhood pool. As we looked up into the sky, we began to notice several groups of 4 to 5 white cigar-shaped flying objects. Approximately 12 groups of these objects eventually glided over us in the course of about 8 to 10 minutes. They were grouped very closely together, floating in total silence, but in a direct course from south. They were gliding horizontally across the sky. There were absolutely no observable windows, wings, tails, jet trails, or means of propulsion. It was obviously very difficult to determine their size or how high they were flying. My husband's very best guess is that each object was approximately 100 foot across, and that they were flying approximately 20,000 feet above the ground. I had no phone or camera with me, but immediately when we returned home, I called the police, Border Patrol, the local airport, even the local FBI. None of them would confirm that there had been any other reports of this unusual phenomenon.
Boy, you don't hear cigar-shaped sightings much anymore. And immediately, I would think Goodyear blimp, but they would have let her know, hey, there was a blimp in the area.
Well, and the fact that there were like 4 to 5, so there were 12 groups of 4 to 5 white cigar-shaped flying objects. I mean,
we call those bunches, Josh.
Yeah, it's not a para. Anyway, so, but I mean, blimps don't travel like that. It just
they're not like geese.
they're not geese. There's not, like blimp owners don't go up and fly together on the weekend. I
feel like that is like what happens in the Cars/Planes universe from Disney and Pixar. Is like that's they're like geese are just blimps in the sky.
I mean,
they're paired up.
In the Planes universe of the Cars stuff, so Cars and Planes. What would their UFOs be? Would they be animals? Would they be birds? Actual birds would be their UFOs?
That's a good question. I don't. Well,
derail.
I don't know. I know, derailed for sure. I wanna write Pixar now and ask. Like we have some paranormal questions about the Cars and Planes universe.
Yeah. We ask the difficult questions.
If there was a Sasquatch, what would it be? Would it be like a Ford Bronco? Like,
well, I mean, Sasquatch is still very human-like, right?
Oh, it could be. Well, I mean, like, what if their Sasquatch though is the Bigfoot monster truck?
Yeah, well, there you go. Would that be copyright infringement though?
Will it be Big Feet? Vader be like, I've seen him before. Get her done. So,
anyways, so yeah, good UFO report from. It's actually the year my kids are born. So
yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, we still old sightings are still sightings, man. Let me tell you, if we find something good, we want to cover it.
Well, you know, when I'm looking for these reports, I come across a lot of entries that I don't read because I read them and they're like, you know, I've been watching the night sky for 50 years, and the other night I saw a line of white lights move across the sky low in the horizon, and I'm like, that could be Starlink. So I'm not even going to tell you guys about that one because I look for the ones that are. There's just no, in my opinion, based on the information that we have, there's no good explanation for what was described.
Especially if we find that sighting pre-Starlink, like if we find someone says there was a line of white lights in the sky, that would be fun too to kind of take a look at. All right, before we get to our topic tonight, Josh, I wanted to touch on a quick little bit of creepy catch-up. I don't have anything, but I know you got a little bit of something, so let's get to a little bit of creepy catch-up.
Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Creepy catch-up. Y'all, it's creepy.
All right, Josh, got a little creepy catch-up. Nothing creepy has happened to me besides just after effects of eating chili. So I didn't feel like talking about that. So what
ghost
do you got?
Peppers are still ghosts. So.
They are ghosts of peppers.
Ghosts of peppers.
Right.
So the other night, so I wear a CPAP, you know, when I sleep, and I've talked about it on the show a couple of times, and sleep apnea is a real thing, and anybody out there, you should really get checked out if you think you might have it.
Yep, I had it for a while.
But anyway, so on the front of the CPAP is a little hole on the front of the mask to like expel carbon dioxide, right? When you breathe, you know, you breathe out carbon dioxide. Well, they tell you when you get it, hey, don't cover that little hole because then you end up recirculating your carbon dioxide, and you could die from it. So the other night I was sound asleep. I mean, I'm like going to use this term and then I'm going to laugh about it, dead to the world. And I heard my name called while I was sleeping and immediately woke up. And when I woke up, I realized that I had buried my face like into the crevice between where my pillow and my wife's pillow meets.
That's not a pillow.
And so that hole was blocked.
Oh man.
And I actually like had a headache, and like I had symptoms of having, you know, too much carbon dioxide build up in my blood. So when I rolled over and realized what had happened and like got up to kind of shake it off a little bit, I saw this short statured shadow just kind of standing like in the corner of my room, and I chalked it up to, you know, oxygen deprivation, but you know, it makes me wonder if like something, a spirit, a guide, whatever,
or a gray
or whatever brought me out of it so that I didn't die. So yeah. Man. That's my creepy catch up.
Dude, it's crazy because I'm reading Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, about his abduction experience and things like that. And his very opening thing is talking about laying in bed and seeing a shadow figure that exactly what you described as. So really weird since I just read that today. So in a way is a bit of a synchronicity. So
wow.
Very, very... Whew, interesting, man. Which reminds me, speaking of synchronicities, Penny Royal should be dropping this week as well. So make sure you guys are listening to season 2 of Penny Royal. Our friends, Nathan and Kyle and everybody there at Penny Royal. You don't want to miss this. I'm so pumped for season 2. Just wanted to give a free plug to those guys.
Plug.
So much. But anyways, Josh, thank you for your creepy catch up. That was indeed creepy. We're going to go ahead and take a very quick ad break here, and we are going to come right back talking about Robert Monroe, Hemi-Sync, out-of-body experience, our dude, when we return.
Support for FearScape Paranormal is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FearScape20 at manscaped.com. That's FearScape20 at manscaped.com. I mean, imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship, the details on the 4.0, these are next level. The upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on-off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. And did I mention wireless charging? This new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last even longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. So seriously, get 20% off and free shipping with the code FearScape20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code FearScape20 and unlock your confidence, and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Okie dokie. Welcome back, everybody, to FearScape Paranormal. We are ready to rock and roll, talking about Robert Monroe. Man, what a influential guy, Josh. I mean, everything that we talk about, especially on Astral Stew. I mean, if there's a place that we could talk about Robert Monroe and have talked about the things that he has discovered, Hemi-Sync, out of body experiences and all altered consciousness and all of that, boy, we talk about that on Astral Stew with Santosh quite a bit. So, but I mean, what's really interesting about Robert Monroe too is that he, yes, he's known for all those things, but he did a bunch of other amazing things before any of that stuff ever happened. And I like him because he's like me. He's a Kentucky and Ohio boy. Yeah, he's the reverse of me, where I grew up, or I was born in Ohio, lived there for a little while, and then finished growing up in Kentucky. He grew up in Lexington and then moved to Columbus and finished growing up there. So very reverse. And he was born in Indiana. Yeah, born. Oh man, so he's kind of like Lincoln. Trifecta. Yeah, he's like Lincoln. Yeah, he is the Kentuckiana Valley. So. He is the Kentuckiana Ohio Valley. Yeah, that's what it's hilarious. Named after. Yep. Anyways, so yeah, born in 1915. Which, think about this. He was born like back when the Model T was rarely on the road. Yeah. Fun fact, dude was 12 pounds when he was born. 12 in 1915. It's already difficult in 2021 to have a 12-pound baby. Like I just, his mother, I'm sorry. I mean, my brother Jed was a big baby. He's still a big baby. I'm gonna tell him you said that. So his mother was a medical doctor, but didn't practice. Instead, she played the cello and the piano. Well, I mean, it's 1915, so a woman, she probably didn't have an opportunity. Let's be honest. Yeah. Like living in Lexington. I mean, probably not. Yeah. His father was a college professor of Romance languages. Italian, French, Spanish. Yeah. That's why his wife didn't mind having a 12. Speak French to me. Anyway, so, and also pretty awesome, again, in 1915, his father led summer tours to Europe. I mean, again, I just love thinking about, I would not have probably made it very long
had I been born in that time frame.
God, summer tours also implies multiple tours, and back then it was via boat.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like you're taking Titanic-esque, ships back and forth across the Atlantic. So, but anyways, he had two sisters, two older sisters, and a younger brother. So he went to Ohio State University.
Go Buckeyes, OHIO.
But in his sophomore year, he had to drop out because he had a facial burn that caused him to fall behind in his studies.
I wonder what happened. I wonder if it was like in a lab or something.
I don't know. But what's interesting here is that he then basically became a traveling gypsy hobo for a year because he couldn't find work.
I mean, that was a thing. So if he was born in 1915, so you're looking in the 30s. So it's Depression time.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately what comes to mind for me is Of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
Those guys, they just traveled around looking for work. And once that harvest season was done, they moved on to the next place.
Yeah. He did actually return, though, to Ohio State and graduated pre-med.
Oh, good man.
And actually, it says here that he did pre-med, English, engineering, and journalism.
Oh, he sounds like me at college. Can't find a major.
Right.
So I was a history major, a music major.
What's it called when you just take a lot of classes and they tell you to graduate?
Yeah, they call it
general studies or something.
General education. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there is a term for that. Just a gen ed degree.
Yeah. He says here that he did have an early fascination with flying and music, and he had great mechanical aptitude. Obviously, he did engineering and pre-med and everything else. He displayed an ability to read music by the age of 4 without having to study the subject. They attribute this to his mother and sisters playing piano.
Okay, but still, I mean, a bit of an idiot savant to be able to see and learn.
Right. So, he had a total of 4 wives.
Same time?
No. No, that would have been I don't know. He probably would have committed suicide. No offense to people who are married
to 4 people
like myself. He first married a woman in 1937, a graduate student, the daughter of a lawyer. He divorced her in 1938.
Probably lost everything, daughter of a lawyer.
Yeah, probably. He then married a divorcee with a daughter in 1950. And they had a child together, his only biological child. Her name is Lori. They divorced in 1968. He then married again, another divorcee with 4 children. And then they remained married until her death from breast cancer in 1992. So, sorry, three marriages. My mistake. So he did also develop ulcers in a young adulthood. And so because of that, he was not drafted for World War II. He instead worked, this is totally awesome. He worked for a manufacturing company that designed a flight simulator.
Wow. That's really cool. Yeah, I really dig that. I already like this guy because he's got a head full of science and a head full of art, which is pretty hard to do sometimes.
Hard to find.
So very creative while also analytical. I'm really digging this guy.
He wrote for an aviation column in the Argosy magazine and was given a job with the National Aeronautic Association, for whom he produced a weekly radio show called Scramble, the primary purpose of which was to interest youth in aviation.
Oh, okay. So not about eggs.
No, it's spelled like scramble with an exclamation point. And I would imagine it's being this, it's, kind of around like post World War II time frame. It's like a, you know, that kind of stuff, and everybody's running for their planes and stuff like that. So anyways.
By the way, you guys can't see this at home, but Josh was like miming turning a crank on the old school air horns. Just letting you guys know. He didn't think I saw it, but I saw it.
I forget when I'm reading my Word documents and stuff that you can actually still see me. So, in 1953, he formed RAM Enterprises, or RAM. I don't know if it was called RAM at the time. A corporation that produced network radio programs, as many as 28 programs monthly, principally in dramatic and popular quiz shows.
This guy is bouncing all over the career spectrum. He sounds like me and you, like just.
Well, he sounds like he gets bored, probably, right?
Yeah,
he
had ADHD like me.
He probably found, you know, he finds something, he devotes his time to it, and then once he feels like he's accomplished it or defeated it, then he's like on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So, in 1956, the firm created a research and development division to study the effects of various sound patterns on human consciousness. Now we're getting into it.
All right.
Including the sleep state. Monroe was especially attracted to the concept of sleep learning. One of his early experiments into the process of sleep learning is he took varying ages, all the way from the age of 7, a child by the age of 7, all the way up to an elderly individual, and he played tapes for them that would put them into a meditative state, and then try to teach them something, you know, like I think it was times tables was his first foray into it.
Yeah.
And so that was just, again, that's 1956, 57 when all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So another fun fact. So 1927 was when the psychophone was invented, which ties into this really, really well. This was made for sleep learning by Aloy Benjamin Salinger. This was essentially... he says it's been proven that natural sleep is identical with hypnotic sleep, and that during natural sleep, the unconscious mind is the most receptive to suggestions. He's one of the early pioneers, but psychophone always sounded like a mixture of, you know, the Psycho movies and I'm in Your Basement type movies. But what's really interesting, one of my favorite movies from when I was like a teen was called Ski School, and it is an awful movie now. But in one of the things that they would do is when people were sleeping, they would like get a funnel and speak underneath the door to try to do like hypnotic suggestion while they slept. And it's so funny now to know that that's probably all based off of some of Robert's theories, off of Salinger's theories and things like that. So, and
you know, that psychophone also sounds like you and Santosh's witch mail.
Oh yeah, well that's psychic phone.
Yeah, but I mean that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, psychophone is when your wife calls you mad because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And you left early for the day.
Are you really calling your pregnant wife psycho right now?
Nope.
No.
I said no. I'm calling the phone that she's calling on psycho.
Okay.
She is just in the right.
In the right. Always in the right. Never in the wrong. Even when, never mind. She's always right. So the purpose, though, was to basically try to find a more constructive uses for knowledge than was ordinarily available. I mean,
could you imagine just learning while you sleep? I would love that. I mean, it's not as quick as like Neo in the Matrix or anything, but it's similar to that.
It reminds me, and hopefully I'm not giving anything away here for anybody who hasn't watched Lock and Key on Netflix. Season 2 is out. I just finished it. It's amazing.
One of my favorite shows and comic books.
But you know, there's a specific key that allows you to kind of go into your mind, and all you have to do is take a book and throw it in there, and you know it.
Yep, I love that. Or you can remove things to forget things as well.
Right, exactly.
Really interesting.
Yeah. So, according to Monroe's own account, while experimenting with sleep learning in 1958, he experienced an unusual phenomenon, which he described as sensations of paralysis and vibration accompanied by a bright light that appeared to be shining on him from a shallow angle. Monroe went on to say that this occurred another 9 times over the next 6 weeks, culminating in his first out-of-body experience.
An OBE for sure.
An OBE.
So I do want to remark, I wonder if the reason he got into sleep learning was what we were just talking about, how it seems like he bounces around, like he gets bored from things. And I wonder if he's like frustrated with himself. He's like, I can't stay with something. And it's like, I've tried to go after 4 different degrees, but I couldn't stay with it. Like, what if that was the thing? He's like, what if I can do this while I sleep? Because that's when I'm the most patient.
Yeah.
Because I do, as someone who suffers from ADHD, which it kind of sounds like he had, that is a problem that I have is if I'm not, medicated or doing things to help work with that, you get bored really, really quick. I mean, you remember how often I used to move, because I would move somewhere and after a year I was ready to move because I was done. I was even bored with the town. I was like, all right, new experience, need it. So I wonder if some of that had to do with that, where he was trying to figure out a way for himself to be able to learn things deeper and have a broader understanding of them.
Or to even maybe ramp up, right, the amount of time it takes to learn something new, right? He sees something in a store window. I wonder how that works. He could go home, learn about it a little bit, make himself an audio tape, and then play it while he's sleeping. And
it sounds like a lot of those famous inventors or scientists or people like that, like Benjamin Franklin, people like that did micro sleeping as a way to maximize their time to be awake, so that they could continue to invent and learn and things like that. So, but as you said in the beginning, in the introduction for the show, he was kind of the first person to use the term out-of-body experience. Yeah, it all goes back to, in modern times, especially to him. Now, in his 1971 book, Journeys Out of the Body, which I just completed, and is an amazing book. It's basically, if you want proof of out-of-body experiences, read his book, because it's filled with dates, times, conditions. Like he took a very analytical approach to his out-of-body experiences. He would journal after each one. He would write down like the time of day it was, the atmospheric conditions, the temperature, all this kind of stuff, so that he could really track and collect the data on what it was that was happening, when did it usually happen, when were his experiences the greatest versus the least, so on and so forth. So it's a very great book. And I'm sure you're going to get into this, but his out-of-body experiences at this point, were they just during sleep, or were they during awake as well? Or I mean, are we looking at this as astral travel? No. So, well, I know that's two heavy questions at once. It is. So all of his, as explained in his book, all of his out-of-body experiences were not during sleep. He would later, so after his first kind of accidental, if you will, out-of-body experience, in later sessions, when he would purposefully do it, he would always do them before sleep or when he first woke up in the morning, because again, he didn't want to fall to sleep. He wanted to, or not even like before the end of the day. I mean, I'm talking like he might eat dinner and then go sit down with the purpose of having an out-of-body experience. Like, so he was making these happen, yes. But they started out kind of accidentally during the sleep learning phase. So they started out accidental, but then he actually developed. So he developed like 4 or 5 different techniques he breaks it down into phases. And again, the latter chapters of his book, he actually tells you, okay, you've heard me tell you about all these experiences that I've had. Let me tell you how you yourself can have them. And so the later chapters of his books, he talks about how he would, so there's like, first you get into a very deep, relaxing state. Then you have to find the vibrations, he calls them.
Then you have to bring the vibrations into your body, and you have to use them to raise your overall vibration. Then you have to perform techniques to actually come out of the body, of which he has a couple different ways that he does that. And then you have to have a technique for getting back to your body, and he gives you a couple of different those techniques as well. And so to your second question of astral travel, that's different. So the way he calls it, again in his book, the title of the book, Journeys Out of the Body, is he identified 3 locations, what he calls locale 1, locale 2, and locale 3. Locale 1 is the physical plane, what you and I interact with on an everyday basis.
Right.
Locale 2 is the astral plane. Locale 3 is somewhere else.
So no answer. So possibly another dimension, heaven.
I mean, he talks about his experiences in locale 3, and for anybody, it's like when you get to, in the book, his experiences in locale 3, it's amazing the experiences that he has. And I don't want to take that away from anybody who might read the book.
Right.
So let me just say, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about his experiences in locale 3. If you don't want to hear them, skip ahead by 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So his experiences in locale 3, it's like a different area, but it's similar to our Earth, our existence on this physical plane. But a couple things he notices is there are no mechanical objects that use gasoline or oil. They all use some other form of mechanical motivation. They don't have cars. They have individual, basically like Flintstone type cars that they pedal around everywhere they go. So if they go anywhere as a family, they all take their individual pedal around on, mobiles or whatever. Right. They travel in trains, very much like an old world locomotive, but it doesn't run on steam. It doesn't run on diesel. He can't tell what it runs on.
Right.
He later in his locale 3 experiences actually finds out that there's a version of him that lives there.
Oh, wow.
And in his travels to locale 3, he starts to phase into this versions of him's life. So it's like a quantum leap type situation. He phases into this person in the middle of whatever they're doing, has no knowledge of what they were doing, has no knowledge of like how to do what they were doing, or like he's just his consciousness is replacing theirs for a moment in time.
Man, it almost sounds like Jim Schmidt's book.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's kind of the stuff that is happening in locale 3. And so it's he basically ruins his alternate self's life in locale 3, so he decides not to go back. The guy ends up being divorced from this woman that he loved, and the kids that he was, were not his, but he was happy to call them his own. And because he keeps like randomly popping in on this guy when he's like in the middle of doing a presentation or developing
whoopsie
developing some new technology, because that happens, he basically ruins this other guy's life, and so he decides not to go back to locale 3.
Wow.
But how he finds locale 3 is just really amazing. So yeah, so anybody who tuned out to not hear about locale 3, let me tell you about locale 2. So locale 2 is the astral plane. And so when he goes to locale 2, he kind of envisions it more of like he's not even sure he's leaving our physical plane, or if he's just going somewhere internal to his consciousness.
Right.
But he does interact with spirits. He gets attacked by things. He talks about a time when he was on vacation and he came out of his body, and there were 3 beings in his room, and they started poking him and pulling at him and just being like aggressive with him and everything. And he was trying to get back into his body, and they were laughing about him, saying, "Look at this fool trying to get back into his body," and all this kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked to Santosh about stuff like that.
So, but Locale 1 is where he spends the most of his time, and that is just exploring our physical plane, but in his what he calls his second body.
Right.
So, I mean, he goes and visits his friends, and he goes and visits a doctor of his that lives across town. And, he says one thing, and this is something I really resonated with because it's something that I've kicked around a lot over the last 6 months, is when you're in the second body and you want to travel to, like, let's say I was able to be in the second body and I wanted to come see your room, your room in your apartment. I don't think of a physical address. I think of your personality.
Yeah.
I think of who you are, not even your name. I think of your personality. And then I'm whisked away, and then I show up at your, apartment, because it goes to wherever you are, not wherever it's not like I can just think about your physical address and go there. That's what he talks about. It's just, you go to the person you want to see. You have to think about them, and then it'll take you to, you'll go to wherever they are, regardless of if they're at home, if they're at a restaurant, whatever the case may be. So
yeah, I think I've told you before, that's similar to my dad. Back when he was younger, in his teenage years and stuff, he had done some astral travel type stuff. And I don't know the story exactly, but it involved either him astral traveling to his friend's house who he'd never been to, or vice versa, and being 100% accurate on either side. I can't remember which one, but it freaking him out so much that he never did it again, and he still won't talk about it. He acts like it wasn't a thing, but everybody in the family talks about it, as a thing that had happened to him.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, I've since reading the book and him, kind of going over the techniques and stuff, I have tried a couple times, and I've gotten to where I feel the vibrations. Like, I've been able to follow his methodology to find the vibrations, but that's as far as I've gotten so far. So it's still cool that I can find the vibrations that he speaks about. So
yeah, absolutely.
So that company that he started, again, that RAM or RAM, depending on how he pronounced it, in 1962 they moved to Virginia, and that's when they actually renamed it. They moved to Virginia. It didn't have internet where they moved to, so he started a company that brought not internet, telephone services and cable services into the area that he was in. So basically he moved to an area that didn't have cable services, so he started his own.
I like this guy, man. Like, I like this. This is more than what I had researched in, and I like that. I like this guy. Advantageous.
And at that point in time, he changed the name of the company to Monroe Industries.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Better than Skynet.
Yeah. And then in 1985, the company changed its name again to Interstate Industries. So this was a reflection of Monroe's analogy to Hemi-Sync.
Here we go.
Yep. Which serves as a ramp from the local road to the interstate, and allowing people to go full steam ahead in the exploration of consciousness.
That makes sense.
So he actually patented Hemi-Sync.
I love Hemi-Sync, man.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't see a way to talk about Hemi-Sync without talking about the Gateway experience. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to not to make it too, so I'm going to tie the two together real quick. So he also produced a program called the Gateway Experience, which is a series of tapes that basically allow you to, if you do all of them, there's, wave 1, wave 2, all the way through 6, I believe. If you do all of them, it allows you to explore your consciousness and repurpose your body's energies in other ways. Is the best way I can say it. And in the first tape, the first recording for Gateway Experience is to put you into Hemi-Sync. And so the first night that I did it, I did it right before bed. And I did the first tape, and it put me into Hemi-Sync, and I could not go to sleep. When I finally did go to sleep, I had the craziest dreams.
I remember that you started, whereas for me, it like knocked me out.
Yeah. And I think Santosh, when he did it, he reported that he also had some crazy dreams when he did it.
Yeah, I think we all did. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, so Hemi-Sync, what it basically does, at any given moment, you're doing stuff, you're using either your left brain or your right brain. You know, your brain is divided into halves. Your left brain controls the right side of your body, the right brain controls the left side of the body, so on and so forth. What Hemi-Sync does is he basically figured out a way to play binaural beats on 2 different frequencies, one in the left ear and one in the right ear. And what it causes is it causes your brain to synchronize both hemispheres using your whole brain. So that's why it's called Hemi-Sync, because it's your left hemisphere, your right hemisphere of your brain. By doing this, it causes them to synchronize and function now as one whole brain. So you're getting all of your brain's functioning power at the same time.
Right.
And that's kind of the basis of a lot of his programs, is getting you into that Hemi-Sync.
The hemisphincter.
That's if your sphincter is divided into 2 halves. But the Hemi-Sync gets you into that kind of condition, and then from there, that's like your jumping off point to do all the other work that he's got going on.
Right.
And so, you know, I've often, or not often, but recently wondered if I would have better results with doing his out of body stuff, because he came out with Hemi-Sync much later than his he wrote the out of body book in 1971. He developed Hemi-Sync in sometime in the mid early 80s. So wonder if I were to take his Hemi-Sync, run that first, and then try out of body stuff, if I would have different results. But anyways, so now, it is a full-fledged Monroe Institute.
Which is super cool. I would love to have a Gerhardt Institute.
Well, that's not vain at all. So anyways, the Monroe Institute is a nonprofit education and research organization devoted to the exploration of human consciousness. Based in Faber, Virginia, 20,000 people are estimated to have attended a TMI residential gateway program during its first 30 years. Consumers of the audio industry founded on its research running into the millions. The CIA evaluated the gateway experience.
Yes, which is how we discovered it.
On
looking at old CIA documents.
Right. So when the CIA did their big, kind of declassification dump many years ago, several people were just, because they just sit around and dig through old CIA files, came across the gateway experience. And so, I mean, people obviously knew the Monroe Institute, but it was still really interesting to see that the CIA, back in their time of, men who stare at goats and all of that kind of stuff, were evaluating the gateway experience and how it could potentially be used for remote viewing, as well as out-of-body experiences for spy type stuff.
Yeah.
So the just a moment. So he started or found TMI after he started having what he called his out-of-body experiences. And the Institute is housed in several buildings on 300 acres. One of its activities includes teaching various techniques based on audio guidance processes in order to expand his consciousness and explore areas of consciousness not normally available in the waking state. Jumping back in time just a little bit, in 1978, the U.S. military actually sent officers for OBE training.
Yeah, now we're starting to get into like remote viewing, MK Ultra. Like they were really trying to find anything they could to beat the Russians, man. Like,
yep. Yeah. But you can go to the Monroe Institute today, their website, and you can sign up for any of their programs. They do a gateway experience program that's like an 8-week program. It kind of walks you through a step-by-step.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy and download just the audio files and stuff that goes along with it for you to do it at your own pace, if you will. But yeah, it's so kind of where I am. I'm going to take a step back to kind of our personal journey, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of where I am is I'm at the point where I'm feeling like initiation for us was, or at least for me, was seeing that UFO in my backyard.
Right.
That's kind of what set me down the path 2 years ago. And I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, because the last couple of times that we've gone out with the psionics and stuff, we haven't really seen much UFO-y type stuff, but we have had a lot of, I would call expanded consciousness type activities happen.
Sure.
And so
we've been doing more expanded type consciousness stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll give credit where credit is due to CE5 Stephen Greer kind of opening that window for us a little bit to try that route.
Yep. And also information from the contact, referring to himself as Terry Rist, also pushing us towards really investigating and getting into like astral travel type stuff as well.
Right.
So my focus has shifted kind of away from, I still look at the night sky because it's the night sky and it's amazing.
Right.
But I don't necessarily look for UFOs. What I'm really looking for now is that internal journey. And, the gateway experience, I think, and other stuff that the Monroe Institute has to offer can really, I think, further me in my current state of my current journey. I will say also the Monroe Institute does have an app, and there are parts of it that are free and there are parts of it that are not. The Pro, if you buy the Pro, it's not too terribly expensive, but you can actually take the full gateway experience via the app as well. And then they also have meditations. So if you just wanted a 5-minute meditation using Hemi-Sync to, get you mindfully ready for an interview, whatever, it's something that they do offer on their app, and that's available for the non-pro version. So,
cool.
So yeah, I mean, Robert Monroe, an amazing man. I'm sad that he's no longer physically with us. He might be in Locale 3, being messed up by somebody else that's
right.
Traveling. But I highly recommend his book. The book that I spoke of, by the way, is not his only book. He's written a couple others.
In fact, the Out of a Body Experience book is a set of trilogy. There's Far Journeys and Ultimate Journey as well that kind of make a trilogy of that, so to speak.
Yeah. But the one written in 1971 was his first of sort.
Yeah.
And he goes into some stuff there, in later chapters about how he first realized that he might have something else going on, things that happened to him early in his life that only after finding out-of-body experiences and those types of things that he realized that those things were special in nature. Like he had a dream once that he found some money outside of his house. So the next day he got up and he walked outside and he looked where he saw in his dream, and there was some money laying there.
Hey, that goes along the lines of our psychic word of the week last week.
Yeah. So anyways,
but yeah, even like I had said, man, Robert Monroe and Alan Hynek, towards the end, were really close friends because Hynek was really starting to get into a non-UFO side of things and was really getting into psychic experiences, out-of-body experiences, dimensional things like that. And so with both of them being from Ohio, it kind of made sense, Hynek being teaching at the Ohio State University there. So very interesting to see two of these pioneers here hanging out and working with one another.
It does seem like in all the people that we've talked to, since doing the show and things, that people who are into UFOs and stuff do eventually seem to make a turn towards internal the internal journey, the psychic journey, the astral body, whatever the case may be. It really makes you wonder if seeing a UFO is an initiation of sorts. It's supposed to spark your interest to lead you to the path that ultimately takes you more to an internal journey, more so than looking for what is external or macro.
Right.
So, but anyways, man. Very, very cool dude. Wish I could have met him in person.
Same. Yeah, definitely check out his books. Check out the Monroe Institute and all that jazz. Josh, I appreciate it. So we're going to start wrapping things up here. Once again, Robert Monroe, Hemi-Sync. There's lots of cool Hemi-Sync stuff, even on Spotify, places like that you can check out. There's a lot of groovy meditations, YouTube, all that stuff, similar to binaural beats in a lot of ways. Sometimes those things go hand in hand, get put together as well. I've seen some stuff. But
the big, of course, the big thing with his is, and you don't really find this on YouTube because of the way that audio on YouTube is put together. But his is they play one set of tones in your left ear and another set of tones in your right ear. Mm-hmm. So unless somebody's formatted that audio to work that way on YouTube, it's not going to be exactly the same as Hemi-Sync. You can still get binaural beats, but it's not the same as Hemi-Sync.
Right. But yeah, cool, man. Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and start wrapping up. Like I said, want to get moving to our final segment as usual, which is Encounters from the FearScape. All right, Josh, the encounter from the FearScape comes from a woman that lives in Kentucky, but the reason I picked it is the story comes from when she was living in Columbus at the time, home of Ohio State University and everything we've been talking about today. But this comes from a woman who goes by the moniker of Emerald Dahlia, and this is her story.
When I lived in Marion Village in Columbus, I swore that the house was haunted. Now, I never saw it, but it felt like a mean, pranksterish older guy. And I always felt the need to avoid it, and that feeling never went away with the familiarity of the house. Later on, a friend of mine told me that it felt the same way to them, and I had never even described the place, the man, or the feeling.
Wow. That's pudding. Yeah, as I say, that's what your pudding moment, right? So
yep, you gotta love that, man. Those pudding moments, you kind of go, okay, so it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me.
Yeah, it's very cool. So thank you all for sharing that.
Thank you, Emerald. And always, as always, send in your encounters, your listener stories to us. You can send those to fearscapepodcast@gmail.com, or just hit us up on any of our social medias, or submit a sighting on our website. You can do all that stuff. But just a reminder, check out the Debriefs Tech Talk with Josh and myself. Really get out there. Check that out. We'll be posting it all over our social media, so you know right where exactly to go. And of course, as always, just get out there and check out the Debrief. Such amazing news in terms of science, technology, and defense, and UFOs, and all the fun stuff. They have their head in the game, let me tell you. So.
Yep, the Matrix game.
The Matrix game. Woo! All right. Well, Josh, let's rock and roll. Let's get out of here, man. Wanted to just say thank you to all of you blanket huggers out there. We love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, as you do, to FearScape Paranormal here on the FearScape Media Network. This has been Stefan. And just a reminder, keep your eyes on the skies.
And this has been Josh. The truth is now.
And remember, folks, hold those blankets extra tight. Things tend to get spooky when you're listening to FearScape. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We hope you have enjoyed this guidepost on the road of high strangeness with us. And we thank you, as always, for listening and joining our caravan to the weird and unknown. Please consider supporting us as we continue our journey to find the answers we all seek. FearScapePodcast.com/support.
You